There's no surprise, Dragon Ball Super is hot garbage, and one of, if not the worst anime I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen plenty of awful anime in my lifetime, amongst which many losers getting a harem, blunt humor, and about other sexual stuff or what have you. And yes, even Sword Art Online is better than Dragon Ball Super. It is by far the most insulting things I have ever seen um, that was made for fans of an established franchise. Like even something like Dragon Ball Evolution can exist in its own vacuum. Dragon Ball Super is actively altering the Dragon Ball's main story for the worst. One of these days I may make a video why Dragon Ball Heroes handles Dragon Ball better than Dragon Ball Super. But what if Dragon Ball Super were to face itself? Anime versus manga. At least there we have a definite victor, right? If you think about it, like I didn't post it here, but I have made a list of worst things about Dragon Ball where I put the anime as worse than the manga. But this won't be as simple. We will break things down uh, even more so we can see which has what advantages and why the manga is better and still complete garbage. Like unlike in the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super vs. Boruto discussion, some stuff I won't argue because both lose in these categories. Like Dragon Ball Super has no tension because there's no meaningful consequences and stakes. We know how it will end. We know Goku will trade Oop and the Earth will be fine. So no amount of universal threats and whatnot will really change our perception. The ending of C is being fixed for 3 decades. Like if you read Dragon Ball, you know how it will end. It's not even a spoiler thing if I tell you everything will be fine. And you can even use every manga the main character will win or something, and that's not always the case. In shonen that may be the case, but at least some of the shonen have still some consequences. You can't apply the same for Dragon Ball, where the characters are finished with their character arcs, so that's why Goku and Vegeta are kept circling instead of improving. So I talked long enough around the bush, so let's continue. I won't get into the slice of life filler since the manga doesn't have much compared to the anime, but I will use some filler if needed to talk about some characters. And the section of something we have never seen before is the same for both, so since both adapt the same arcs. That's pretty much it, so let's start with the main course. The fight. Dragon Ball Super's fights are boring and not memorable. Almost every fight has the same punches to the gut in the anime and a bunch of ratatatatata to the point people may meme it. And the fights that could be good is Vegito vs. Zama's suffers from narrative issues, making it unbelievable that Vegito would be that weak compared to Goku and Trunks in the same episode. The manga itself suffers from similar issues since whenever a character is dominating, we see very often the same punching panels of a character pushing another one back from left to right. This makes a lot of Toyotaro's fights monotone and boring to watch. and when he does do something new, it's just usually tracing or recreating scenes from other media with like the Dragon Ball manga or even his own AF. If you read Dragon Ball Toyable IF manga, you will see Toyotaro was far better at paneling and conveying interesting fight scenes. In both adaptations, you hardly see any strategy. That's how bland Dragon Ball Super is. And if there is strategy, like putting landmines, it's either impactless or meaningless, because there's no shift in advantage. Like it's pretty much impractical. Let's say that. So how do we determine which one is better? The motivation of the characters fighting is pretty much the same, though it's hard to compare. Animation quality and art isn't a reliable indicator, either if there is no consistent drop in quality in either. A fight could be animated with less detail and look like shit if you pause it, but if you watch it moving, it can look intense and enjoyable. An example would be Goku vs Metal Cooler from Dragon Ball Z Movie 6. That means the only thing left to determine the winner is to look immediately to the next category. It dives into what makes Dragon Ball fights engaging, violence. And thus we already have a winner, which is the manga. Dragon Ball Super's manga shows blood, actual blood, and shows that not only that limbs are torn off, but also the pain of the characters that are having that lost them. Meanwhile, Dragon Ball Super lets a character get stabbed by an evil Goku and unable to fight until they eat a beam. No blood, no death, just knocked out. A kill hit KO move, not a killing technique, which is why Black using the blades makes all his other moves obsolete, since all he has to do is stab you and he won. Meanwhile, while Moro puts his hand through Goku's body, shows how painful the blow was without using the same punch in the gut very hard scene. Don't worry, I won't use Moro. The Moro arc or later arcs as a clutch or negative for the manga. It's the most recent example I can just think of. That's why I mentioned it. Ironically, is one scene in the Super anime that had Pink Super Saiyan Zama's spilled blood after Vegeta punched him in the gut. There we go again. Instead of it, what usually happens. So, as boring as the manga fights are, they are better than the anime. Let's go to nostalgia pandering. Both are awful at doing nothing but homages to get your attention. Vegeta returns through a nerf despite having Gogeta as an option. Having Gogeta despite Vegeta always being the stronger fusion. Time travel arc, Frieza comes back, another Broly, yet another Broly, tournament arc, Vegeta being obsessed with Kakarot, Piccolo being obsessed with Gohan. Both use nostalgia, even if it makes no sense in a certain moment, like Piccolo using inferior version of special beam cannon, so which is worse? Toyotaro is basically doing things but rehash panels because of homages, giving Dragon Ball Super a vibe of your average fan manga. Super does something, the anime does something similar, where Frieza returns to fight Top after already to fire a death beam, which is an homage to how he appeared before killing Krillin. This is probably the hardest to decide a winner for, so I will end it with a tie here. power scaling without adopt. It's the worst thing about Dragon Ball Super is one of the most cringy things about Dragon Ball Super, and I will dive to that at some point. We, I will show how retarded the power scaling in Dragon Ball Super is, especially if we go by Dragon Ball fanboy logic. The entire idea is that Cauliflower and Roshi are able to solo Dragon Ball Z characters is absurd, completely retarded. Weekend Roshi being able to push Frost, who fans believe to be perfect cell level, is to the defense. Yes, Frost is stronger, but these punches shouldn't even tickle Frost. She shouldn't have to ambush Krillin or Roshi if he's as powerful as the show makes us believe. Also, there are inconsistencies, like Cauliflower barely being able to beat a pig guy as a Super Saiyan, who was shown to be even with that Knuckles look alike, which was defeated by Majin Buu. And remember that Majin Buu was severely nerfed, not only weaker than the one who couldn't even beat Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And unless you want me to believe Buu trained off screen too, he should not be stronger than Kid Buu, or even even if he was fighting Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So a character that is portrayed weaker than Majin Vegeta is implied to be stronger than Super Vegito. And according to some other even stronger characters, like, oh boy, hold your horses. There are people that believe Cauliflower is stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta from Dragon Ball GT. This is how stupid the power scaling of Dragon Ball Super is. There's also other nonsense with Gohan rivaling Super Saiyan Blue Goku after achieving his ultimate form in less than a day. I guess he is stronger than Vegeta too. And Android 17 being able to rival Super Saiyan Blue as well. Or female Broly knocking out Super Saiyan Blue Goku, later a stronger version struggling against a tired Super Saiyan 2 Goku, but later a fusion with Cauliflower schooling Super Saiyan God Goku. It's inconsistent after inconsistency. You can't take anything serious. The manga isn't better. Just me mentioning Jiren vs Roshi should give you an idea. A guy that made Super Saiyan Blue Goku look like a weakling, that didn't even flinch when he got hit, was outperformed by an old guy who hasn't been relevant since his fight against H-King Piccolo. Same chapter also has Cauliflower being beaten by Gohan, and if you recall, female Broly in the manga was also stronger than Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and the Pride Troopers stated that the fusion is stronger, so that implies that Super Saiyan Blue Goku is weaker than Ultimate Gohan in the manga too. Well, I guess that's not that outrageous, since the manga we don't know how Gohan compares to Super Saiyan God Goku, and the Vegito line wasn't mentioned. Also, a larger amount of time with him under Piccolo happened, so who knows what really went off screen. There are more inconsistencies in the manga, like how Vegeta jumped above Super Saiyan 3 Goku level in what is implied a few days without the mention of the time chamber while in Super Saiyan. There's also Black catching up with Vegeta's power much faster through two Senkais, to the point he schools with him with a basic Super Saiyan, while his opponent is a Super Saiyan Blue Warrior. But overall the anime is far more outrageous with inconsistencies and power scaling. The winner is obviously the manga. The last section is the use of characters, and I don't really like either way. Hit was definitely handled better in the anime. Fight was boring, but he was built up much better. He put Goku more into defense and forcing him to use Kaioken. In the manga, it seemed Goku always had the upper hand, making Vegeta's sacrifice to establish Hit as a threat pretty much meaningless. Either way, the fight was impactless. Nobody is talking about the Universe 6 fight at all, which shows how everyone has forgotten about it. However, this is the best Dragon Ball Super has to offer. Goku was handled trash in both versions. He no longer feels like a veteran fighter, but an amateur with too much power. Putting him into the role of a student and was a big mistake by Dragon Ball Super. The amount of times he was caught off guard and beaten is a meme itself. Neither anime nor manga handle him well. I wanted to mention a few things like the discovery of Master Super Saiyan Blue, but that is so insignificant to how stupid and childish Goku became that just a handful of scenes don't affect much. Vegeta keeps cycling the same character arc over and over again. He and Goku keep taking turns, get beaten up over and over again, and figure out they have to work together to achieve their goal. The anime does its verse basically nullifying his development in the Buu arc. The manga is the only redeeming factor as it tries to put Vegeta in shoes other than being after Goku's dick. And there's a plot about him atoning for his sin and accepting the past of the Saiyans. As the anime has a few family scenes, but they are usually played for gags and show how much of a scumbag Goku is. Jiren is more fleshed out in the manga with his reasoning, and hints are spread out about his goal far better, but even that doesn't make him interesting. Anime Jiren is as bland as Super 13. He got a backstory thrown hastily explaining which is a bland Batman and Sasuke ripoff. The entire goal about trust was illogical since he was moving by the orders of Top the whole time, staying out of fights, and he would immediately end up instead of wasting his time. Manga Jiren is much better because he's actually fighting instead of meditating the whole time with an actual goal, winning goal in his mind. Future Trunks became a Final Fantasy reject as the anime and a soy boy with too much power. No way I would put him above manga Future Trunks. Mai is trash and Super. I don't even see it worth talking about her since she wastes so much screen time and panels despite adding nothing of value but cringe. Both versions are trash, or rather all three are some of the worst antagonists in the franchise. The manga kinda explains why he didn't eliminate everyone on Earth, but it makes him feel like an edgelord, no? At least he didn't fuse with the universe or lost to Future Trunks in a way that made no sense. That puts mangas Samus and Evil Goku above their anime counterpart. Every other character really didn't matter. They are filler or flat out cringe, even if I go to how they were used in the grand schemes, they were irrelevant. It doesn't matter if Krillin knocked out one person or 29 people in the TOP. Goku just needs to power up and eliminate everyone except the ones that can actually put up fight. And powering up just makes him ready for a fight, but I guess I can go through some of these characters. Ribrianne. Manga better than anime. She didn't overstay her welcome and the jokes didn't repeat over and over and over again. Female Broly. Manga better than the anime. She has an actual mystery as opposed to being a shy girl that happens to overcome her shyness in less than an hour. Also, she eliminates other universes other than Universe 7 does, unlike in the anime where Universe 7 just finishes off everyone, thus establishing herself better as a threat. Also, there is more layers to her character as her royalty to cauliflower prevents her from outshining her. Or cauliflower. Cauliflower. Cringiest character ever. Manga better than the anime. No big tingle, no getting multiple Super Saiyan forms. She doesn't even interact with Goku, which she doesn't even deserve. She isn't shown nor seen as an ace of Universe 6. While I don't like her in the manga either, she is more bearable in the anime compared to her trash anime counterpart, who even pushed Goku to the defense. Kefla, manga above anime. Her creation feels more reasonable as Cauliflower steals the earrings instead of being handed to her, and Champa going for a gamble instead being convinced that the Potara are somehow allowed. Also, she doesn't put stupid feats like catching Goku off guard or knocking him out with ease. Instead, she gets utterly humiliated and gets no screen time, just how I want my Kefla to be treated. Like trash, she is. Top manga above anime, mainly because he doesn't spout out justice over and over again. His defeat in the manga was boring for someone who trained under God of Destruction, but Vegeta overwhelming him didn't make things better. Now Piccolo. Both manga and anime are equal, he is fodder in both. He got humiliated by a bug in both. In the anime he got killed protecting Gohan from Frieza. In the manga he was holding back, finishing his opponent despite being trained for situations like that. Piccolo wasn't known for someone who shows mercy. Tien again, manga above anime, easy peasy. Even if he didn't eliminate anyone, Tien didn't get humiliated by Roshi and Blanca on Craig. He was defeated by Frost instead. Roshi, both manga and anime, trash. Illogical. Roshi should not be fighting here. He should be giving advices from time to time for the new generation. And Goten and Trunks, manga above anime. At least they didn't get beat up by a purple con Vegeta after fusing. And they transformed into Super Saiyan 3 against Bills in the Battle of Gods retelling. Manga above anime, Gohan wasn't utterly humiliated by First from Frieza in the manga. He didn't hide like a bitch from what looked like Rob the Robot. Also, his power up in the manga felt more reasonable compared to the anime. Lastly, the anime wasted all his potential to set up to fight Goku. No Gohan Blanco. Team Captain was useless title, since nobody listened to what he said, and thus that didn't matter. Zeno, manga above anime. Zeno is a fanboy, self-insert in the anime, always in favor for female Super Saiyans and Universe 7. Never did the character get punished for that mattered for breaking the rules, such using ki from the branch. Only Frost got erased because nobody likes Frost, not even the writers. And Bulma manga is anime better than the manga here. I think this is the only character the anime handles better. Bulma seems to be able to handle most of the situations well, and even went as far as trying to stall Samus by herself, which with her charm. I wouldn't go as far as the anime handling her better than Toriyama could, since Toriyama made Bulma unbearable. Thanks the filler for making her a bit more likable, as well as GT for making her useful, besides making devices out of nowhere instead of actually using them to help. I think those were all the things that we're mentioning, so I guess that's it. The manga wins seemingly no contest, but I assure you the gap between the quality is not significant. It's the difference between getting an F and an F minus. Both are awful grades.